Hello everyone. At this moment, we are going to talk about the lesson in Module 2, the ICT policies and issues and its implications to teaching and learning. This presentation is prepared to you by yours truly, Remy S. De Los Santos, Jr. To begin with, we have here the statement, the future has arrived. Now we have to ensure that we have a place in it. This is according to the Department of Information, Communication and Technology, or the DICT. So we are living in a time where globalization is evident. It is all over the place, and ICT has become a building block of the process, and it becomes the instrument to spread the influence of globalization. The powerful use of network has broken boundaries because it travels across time and space, and it provided opportunities for inclusion and collaboration of different people and different countries. However, there is still an underlying issue to this kind of system. There is still a struggle for those who do not have access or those who are not included, to those who are marginalized, and to those people who are powerless. Thus, this only implies that there is a need and vital call to establish policies in the use of ICT. So this lesson aimed to discuss issues related to ICT and to know ICT policies which are applicable to teaching and learning. So let's define ICT policy. So ICT policies are a course of actions to be pursued and adopted by various governments, organizations, entities involving ICT. These include principles and guidelines in the use of ICT which cover three main areas, namely the telecommunications, broadcasting, and internet. So again, these are uh, the course of actions of various governments and organizations, entities involving ICT to pursue and adapt. So let's proceed now to the Now let's talk about the new ICT technologies. In these contexts, it includes information technology, telecommunication technologies, and networking technologies. So first, let's talk about the information technology. It basically highlights the use of computers in today's generation and in processing data and in saving time and effort of the people using it because it makes their work easier. What are needed, of course, will be computer hardware and peripherals, software, and for the user computer literacy, being able or being literate in using computer, having the knowledge on how to utilize and manipulate the computer in its optimum level and purpose. Second is the telecommunication technologies. It basically includes telephones and the broadcasting of radio and television, often through satellites. This is more on giving information to people, communication, giving information, communicating from one person to other person. Tele Telephone system, radio, and TV broadcasting are needed in this category. Lastly, the networking technology is the best known of networking technology is internet, but has, of course, extends to mobile phone technology, voice over internet protocol, satellite communications, and other forms of communications in this area. Now we have here the challenges in using ICT in teaching and learning. We have five here: the limited accessibility and network connection, the school with limited technical support, the lack of effective training, the limited time, and lack of teachers' competency. Let's talk about the limited accessibility and network connection. network connection. So several research studies indicate the lack of access to resources, including home access, is another complex challenge that prevents teachers from integrating new technologies into education. Various research studies indicated several reasons for the lack of access to technology, and Cecilia's study, if I'm not mistaken, not know how to pronounce the surname of the author, Cecilia's. Teachers complained about how difficult it was to always have access to computers. The author gave reasons like computers had to be booked in advance and the teachers would forget to do so, or they could not book them for several periods in a row when they wanted to, or work on several projects with the students. In other words, a teacher would have no access to ICT materials because most of these were shared with other teachers. According to Becta 2004, the inaccessibility inaccessibility of ICT resources is not always merely due to the non-availability of the hardware and software or other ICT materials within the school. It may be the result of one of a number of factors such as poor resource organization, poor quality hardware, inappropriate software, or lack of personal access for teachers. Next is the school with limited technical support. Without both good technical support in the classroom and whole school resources, teachers cannot be expected to overcome the obstacles preventing them from using ICT. This is according to Lewis 2003. Pilgrim 2001 found that in the view of primary and secondary teachers, one of the top barriers to ICT use in education was lack of technical assistance. In Cecilia's study in 2005, technical problems were found to be a major barrier for teachers. These technical barriers included waiting for websites to open, failing to connect to the internet, printers not printing, malfunctioning computers, and teachers having to work on old computers. So technical barriers impeded the smooth delivery of the lesson nor the natural flow of the classroom activity. Next is the lack of effective training. So the challenge most frequently referred to in the literature is lack of effective training. And one finding of Pelgrim's study was that there were not enough training opportunities for teachers in using ICTs in a classroom environment. Similarly, Beggs in 2001 found that one of the top three barriers to teachers' use of ICT in teaching was the lack of training. Next is the limited time. Several recent studies indicate that many teachers have competence in, and confidence in using computers in the classroom. However, they still make little use of technologies because they don't have enough time or they lack the time. A significant number of researchers identified time limitations and the difficulty in scheduling enough computer time for classes as a barrier to teachers' use of ICT in their meeting. This is according to Alwani 2005, Becta 2004, Beggs 2000, Scope 2005, and Cecilia 2005. According to Cecilia 2005, the most common challenge reported by all teachers was the lack of time. They had to plan technology lessons, explore the different internet sites, or look at various aspects of educational software. And last, on the challenges in using ICT in teaching and learning, we have here the lack of teachers' competency. Another challenge directly related to teacher confidence and teachers' competence is teachers' competence in integrating ICT into pedagogical practice, according to Becta 2004. In an Australian research, Newhouse 2002 found that many teachers lack the knowledge and skills to use computers and were unenthusiastic about the changes and integration of supplementary learning associated with bringing computers into their teaching practices. Current research has shown that the level of these barriers differs from country to country. In the developing countries, of course, research reported that teachers' lack of technological competence is a main barrier to their acceptance and adoption of ICT. This according to Pilgrim 2001 and Outway 2002. Of course, if teachers don't have the resources, of course they also don't have the resources to be competent or to step up their game because of course the lack of the resources. Let's talk now the policy recommendation program to education, teaching, learning. And the Department of Information and Communication Technology designed a roadmap, is the DICT roadmap, to guide all agencies in the utilization, regulation, and enhancement of ICT. It also created the ICT for Education, or the ICT4E, which supports all the efforts of the education sector in incorporating the use of ICT, as well as in determining and gaining access to the infrastructure, which include the hardware, software, telecommunications facilities, and others, which are all vital to use and deploy learning technologies at all levels of education. So here are the policy recommendation programs. Number one, the ICT and Education Master Plan for all levels, it including a national roadmap for faculty development in ICT and education, a national framework plan for ICTs and basic education was developed. This is the basis for the basic education, a framework plan. This will be used all throughout the nation, the country. Next is the Content and Application Development through Open Content and Education Initiative, or OCEI, which converts the DepEd materials into interactive multimedia content, develop applications to use in school, and conduct students and teachers competitions to promote and develop the development of education-related web content. So it aims to make the learning more fun to the students, and it stimulates their creativity and thinking skills in using technology. Next is the FedNet. It is a walled garden that hosts educational learning and teaching materials and applications for use by Filipino students, their parents, and teachers. It includes here that all public high schools will be part of this network, with only the DepEd approved multimedia applications, materials, and mirrored internet sites accessible from schools' PC. Number 4 is establish community early learning called Eskwela for out-of-school youth, providing them with ICT enhanced alternative education opportunities. Of course, this is helpful to a lot of Filipinos, especially here in the countries, for those who are not able to continue their studies because of different challenges in life, and these will help them have the opportunity to pursue their education as well. Number 5 is the Equality Program for tertiary education through partnership with state universities and colleges. This is to improve quality of IT education and the use of ICT in education in the country, particularly outside of Metro Manila. So it focuses more on developing or giving knowledge or giving substantial information to those schools that are not located in Metro Manila to be equipped with technology to enhance their skills and knowledge in ICT. And we have here number 6, the Digital Media Arts Program, which builds digital media skills for government using open source technologies. Particular beneficiary agencies include the Philippine Information Agency and the other government media organizations, such as the Cultural Center of the Philippines, the National Commission for Culture and Arts, and other government art agencies, state universities and colleges, and local government units. And lastly, we have here the ICT Skills Strategic Plan, which develops an interagency approach to identifying strategic and policy and program recommendation to address ICT skills demand and demand supply time. So this is all the policy recommendation programs of the Department of Information and Communication Technology. So let's proceed to some issues on ICT and Internet policy and regulations. These are global issues. The access and civil liberties, these two sets of issues in ICT policies are crucial in today's time. So, civil liberties, it refers to human rights and freedom. It includes freedom of expression, the right to privacy, the right to communicate, and intellectual property rights. On the other hand, we have the access of the use of internet and ICT. So access means the possibility for everyone to use the internet and other media. So we have here the difference between the rich countries and the developing countries. Of course, in richer countries, access to internet is almost available to all with faster connections. But in developing countries, it is still a struggle to them to have a fast access to internet. So some issues in ICT and internet policy and regulations, we have four. So, issue number one. So individual rights are given up in order to have access to electronic networks. Censorship restricts the transmission of information by blocking it or filtering the information. Defamation actions may be used to silence critics. So, under International Human Rights Convention, all people are guaranteed the rights for free expression. However, with a shift from communicating through letter, from our traditional form of communication to electronic communications and online networking, a need to look into how this new means modifies the understanding of freedom of expression and censorship. So the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights has given that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Likewise, the right of freedom of opinion and expression. However, these are the practices. These three are practices provisions in the use of violate these provisions in the use of internet. So now we have here individual rights are given up in order to have access. So like the Microsoft Networks, which by Microsoft Networks contracts provide protection of individuals. However, Microsoft reserves the right in its sole direction to terminate access to any of all MSN sites or services. Number two naman, we have your censorship restricts the transmission of information by blocking it or filtering the information. Blocking is preventing access to whole areas of internet based upon the blacklist of certain internet address, location, or email addresses. While filtering is sifting the packets of data or messages as they move across computer networks and eliminating those considered undesirable materials. Lastly, defamation actions may be used to silence critics. These actions deters the freedom of expression. Next is Here we have here issue number 2, the privacy and security. Privacy policies are an issue. Most commercial sites have a policy, privacy policy. When someone uses a site and clicks I agree, usually when we use a site, no, we usually encounter this when it you need to agree to the terms and conditions provided by the site or the app. So it is as if you have turned over private information to any authority that may access it. So these are the several types of privacy as shown by the following examples. For most, privacy means personal privacy, the right of individual not to have their whole private life or personal life interfered with. Number 2, privacy of communication refers to the protection from interference with communication over the phone or internet. Respect of privacy of communications is an essential prerequisite, or it is necessary for the maintenance of human relationship via technological communication media. Highlight there is it is necessary for maintenance or in maintaining the human relationship. Number 3, information privacy is related to the use of computers and communication systems which are able to hold and process information about large numbers of people at a high speed. It is important to ensure that information will only be used for purposes for which it was gathered and will not be disclosed to others without consent of the individuals. Issue number 3, the surveillance and data retention. So the use of electronic communications has enhanced the development of indirect surveillance. There is no direct contact between the agent and the subject of surveillance, but evidence of activities can be traced because it all happens on the internet. There's no direct contact between the agent and the subject. So the new and powerful form of indirect surveillance is dataveillance, which means that dataveillance is the use of personal information to monitor a person's activities, while data retention, on the other hand, is the storage and use of information from communication system. So there is very little that can be done to prevent surveillance. What can be done is to change the methods of working to make surveillance difficult. This is called counter-surveillance or information security if it refers to computers and electronic communication. And the last issue number 4, the e-pollutant from waste. So again, large amount of e-waste is generated by ICT. These are particular terminal equipments used for computing such as PCs and laptops. Broadcastings, it includes television and radio sets, telephony, fixed and mobile phones, and peripherals such as the fax machines, printers, and scanners. So the accumulated e-waste is due to rapid turnover of equipment due to rapid improvement of software. As we improve, there is also an improvement of waste or greater amount of waste. When material waste can be destroyed by crushing, toxic material brought about by the different equipment requires utmost management. So we cannot just throw it away elsewhere because it can damage the environment. So it is in need to be managed well by those who are knowledgeable. So the quantities of e-waste are increasing in both developed and developing countries. A very dismal state is that there is a significant amount of electronic waste that has been shipped from industrial countries to developing countries using less environmentally responsible procedures. So because of that, there are a lot of ways we have given to the environment. So what are the remedies We have here remedies. It includes standardization and regulatory measures to increase the life cycle of equipment before it's too late, before it becomes obsolete. We need to put standard measure and regulate our actions, regulate the measures to manage those equipment well. So efficient extraction of toxic components and requiring this recycling by both consumers and equipment vendors are selling must be required. So yes, the recycling of these equipment, the efficient extraction of toxic components are necessary for the consumers and equipment vendors to know. After knowing the issues and policy recommendation in using ICT in teaching and learning, so what are now the implications to teacher and teaching? First, guide the teachers on what they should teach that relate to ICT and how to teach it. Since ICT development comes so rapid and fast, teachers might be overwhelmed by its rapid speed. Knowing the given the fast the how technology moves so fast, the teachers will not be able to adapt to it in an instant. Hence, it is important for our teachers to be guided, for them to relate to ICT and how to teach it. It is important for them to be equipped with the necessary information about ICT so that they will be able to effectively teach it to the students. Next is technology should never replace any human teacher. It is important for the teachers also to be reminded that the human touch of the teacher is still a vital component in teaching. Teachers should always be reminded that there are always limitations in the use of in the use of different gadgets and tools. Technology there is a helping hand and does not entirely mean that it will replace the teacher in teaching, in giving information to the students. It will just help the teachers to substantiate information, make their work easier, but it should not replace any human teacher. Human touch is very important to the learning of the students. How a teacher will touch the lives of the student is very important with, with the help of technology. With the help of technology, and not only the technology that will teach the student. So there are rules and regulations that govern the use of technology. Caution should always be observed to protect individual privacy. As teachers, you must be aware that the use of technology may jeopardize your privacy and security. Using this technology comes with a responsibility, comes with the consequences. And as a teacher, you should always be mindful of that. You should be wary of those hazards, wary that your privacy may be invaded. So it is important to know that basic caution in protecting your privacy. And all the issues and many more shall be part of the teaching content, as teacher will be encouraged to use technology in teaching. So it must be part of the teaching content, all the issues, so that teacher would be encouraged in teaching. Now we have here the implications to learners and learning. So learners should be guided on how to use and regulate technology. Though 21st century learners are more advanced than some of the teachers should be responsible in having the knowledge, enough knowledge to guide their students, learners, on how to relate and use technology in a very positive way and a very responsible way. So teachers should be responsible in having the appropriate knowledge and using this technology so that they will effectively teach the students with that kind of regulations and use of technology. Learners should know how they can be protected from the hazards of technology. Of course, learners should not only know the benefits of technology use, but should also know the consequences, the hazards, the disadvantages of using technology so that they will be guided. They will not abuse the benefits or the use of technology. So at the end of the day, they will not regret using the technology. They should know also the hazards of technology and not only the benefits that they can get to the use of technology. Learners should take advantage of the potential of learning support they can derive, such as the development of higher thinking or higher order thinking skills, the development of learning communities through collaboration, the enhancement of skills to manage the vast resources. It's important, no? Because technology comes with benefits. It is important for learners to utilize it to its optimum level, that they can benefit themselves, that they can use it in their own advantage, make their potential glow even more, use it to connect to other people, collaborate with other people, enhance their skills, enhance their learning, widen their horizon, and whatnot. And learners should be, it is important, mindful of the e-waste. They should be mindful of the e-waste that are being thrown away to the land and to the atmosphere. It is also important that to know that there are also hazards or using or having the benefits of using technology is also having e-waste, and it is important for them to know that they should be mindful on using technology and mindful of their e-waste so that at the end of the day that the environment will not be damaged. We can still live with this environment, and they should be responsible in using technology so that we can lessen the effect of these waste to the environment. So that's all for today, and I hope you have learned something with this presentation. 咁我